Pingu. If you've existed on the internet or in pop culture circles for any amount of time, you should know who this is. And if you can't match the name to the show, maybe this will help. Pingu is a slice of life for penguins by penguins in Penguinese, which was very pengressive for the time. Hey, sorry, just a quick edit. Apparently the show Pingu is not made by penguins, but instead made by Ottmar Gutman and Erika Bergman of Sweden? So that begs the question, is that really what Swedish sounds like? Also, for anyone who cares, we will be watching Pingu 2002, Pingu DX, if you will. Before we begin, I would also like to remind you guys to go down, like the video, and subscribe. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and spreading my channel across the globe. Also, while you are down there, don't forget to leave a comment of a show you would like me to talk about in the future. The first episode I will be covering is The Birth of Pingu. Please, let's not make this a trend. Honestly, I did not know what the premise of this episode was before I picked it. The only reason I picked it was for the scene that has been circulating on the internet for a while now. Mood, Pingu. Absolute mood. Now that I've fulfilled my contractual obligation to show you that scene, I can actually start talking about this episode. Our story begins with Pingu's mom and dad warming an egg. Oh my god, did Pingu's dad just get impaled by that pipe? It looks like it's sticking out of his chin! Speaking of getting stabbed, a beak just poked out of the egg. Poor guy, probably gets impaled by everything. And the concerned parents decide it is best to call the doctor, who must not have anything else going on because he shows up almost instantaneously, losing his hat during his entrance. Oh no! How are we supposed to tell he's the real doctor? Oh wait, I forgot my YouTube hat! How are you supposed to know I'm a real YouTuber? The maybe doctor bursts into the house, almost killing the dad, and proceeds to do doctor things to the egg while on ice skates. Maybe you want to take those off, buddy, before you start, doing doctor stuff to a delicate egg? No? Okay. Suddenly, bursting from the Arctic cold, Pingu emerges ready to take his place as the one true doctor. He confidently steps forward, calling out this fake doctor for his toxic practices, and immediately gets shut down. The next 2 minutes of this short is Pingu being gatekept from seeing the egg hatch. At one point, he does this, which results in this. Oh. And his parents end up doing this. Which is honestly the scariest body horror I've seen all year. But after the nightmares end, Pingu's sister is born, and we have this very heartwarming scene of the two meeting for the first time. Never mind, I'm starting to see the link between these claymation birth episodes. Anyway, the doctor skates off into the wilderness after a job well done, and the family takes a commemorative family portrait. Why do they all look like they're about to get executed? The next episode, Pingu and the organ grinder, the instrument not that kind of... I'll just talk about the episode. Show Pingu befriending the sad guru wannabe. Sigh, kids just don't respond to the Song of Storms like they used to. Pingu takes pity on the guy and begins asking for money on his behalf. But civilized society doesn't have time for this guy, they're too busy doing this. And this? Oh my god, that was impressive. Why isn't he the main character? Eventually Pingu is able to get the man a fish, and this happens. That guy is dead. Do not laugh. Pingu decides he needs to lay low to avoid charges of manslaughter. So he goes to Guru Guru's house and finds it in shambles. With the moral whiplash of a dialogue box, Pingu makes his mission to help this man out. He goes out and rolls a natural 20 on all of his performance checks, giving him enough supplies to have a decent meal for the down-on-his-luck performer. He even begins to patch up holes on his roof with the accuracy of an all-star pitcher. Wow, last episode Pingu spent 90% feeling useless, and now he just improved a man's livelihood in less than a day. That's what I call character development. Anyway, Pingu does his good deeds and is rewarded with the ability to become a folk hero. So we've seen Pingu cry, we've seen Pingu help out. What's next? Do we get to see Pingu? Pingu is out skating with his friend, showing off when he spots a female. He flirts with her a bit, but is immediately laughed at by his friends. For some reason, I don't really get this. Are they laughing at his tactics? Are they all going like, "You girls"? Are they all secretly in love with Pingu? This penguin does this. And suddenly I'm uncomfortable. So Pingu does an impressive trick that seems to make the girl penguin find a private location to do stuff. Pingu doesn't want to be ostracized by his alpha male friends and pretends to go home before sneakily heading over to the girl penguin. They do a little mating dance before they try to kiss. Before they can get a chance, he gets interrupted by his jealous friends. This happens 2 more times before they are able to find a quiet place to kiss. This changes Pingu's life, I guess. And they do another mating dance, but this time with an audience. So Pingu and this female are still dating, which is crazy because continuity exists in the show. And his friend is still jealous that Pingu's attention is somewhere else. Which is crazy because continuity exists in the show. Pingu decides that 36 episodes of abuse is enough and decides today he's fighting back. But Pingu's pinpoint accuracy is no match for this guy's agility and massive brain. Eventually, the chase leads to this guy's house. And everyone knows you can't attack a man in his house! Pingu is boiling with vengeance, and he comes up with a plan inspired by his last act of manslaughter. Which is crazy that Pingu gets a saw and begins cutting into this bridge. After hiding the murder weapon in an ice cave, Pingu does the best to coax his friend across the bridge, but this old guy tries to cross instead. Pingu tries to stop him from crossing and in the process actually drowns. No, he's actually fine. A bunch of penguins fish him out where he dies of hypothermia. Nah, just kidding. He's fine. He's fine. Just a bit cold. The next episode is called Pingu's Dangerous Joke. Pingu, whatever you plan on saying, don't. It's really hard to get that sigh at the beginning of an apology video down. So this episode, Pingu uses his pinpoint accuracy for evil. Listen to that devious man laugh. So Pingu runs off to find his next victim and settles on this penguin with glasses from the last episode. At least I think this is the same guy. He has glasses. Pingu stalks this man for several minutes, like the apex predator he is. And while this man is distracted, Pingu makes his move. Wow, he knocked over like 4 pieces of wood. Glasses is confused by the tilted container, and he begins to investigate. But Pingu is just too stealthy, and somehow makes it up this hill. He proceeds to throw a rock at Glasses. Well, not at him, in front of him, because apparently that's funny. Like, before I kind of got the joke, but this is just, like, not funny. Seeing the rock, Glasses is like, I'm kind of hungry, and brings out a sandwich and begins to eat it. Just a thought, like, if that was me, I wouldn't just stop there and eat a sandwich. If I was there, I would probably get away before other, more dangerous rocks start to slide down. So Pingu's small rock prank makes this other, more dangerous rock fall directly towards Glasses. Pingu sees this and newts Glasses to get out of the way. He does, but it comes at a price. Glasses loses his sandwich. God, too soon, but never forgotten. Oh my god, look at that flat sandwich. That's actually amazing. Pingu looks sad and picks up the 4-ish sticks he knocked over, and the episode ends with Pingu vowing to never mess with people again. The final episode opens with Pingu messing with somebody. The victim of his abuse? His sister, who as far as kid sister characters go in children's media, is freaking adorable. What's he gonna do to mess with her? Well, if this music has any indication, he's gonna kill her. So Pinga dies, her rabbit gets stolen and placed in this snowman's hand, far out of her reach. See, as a younger brother with 2 older siblings, this is why
I valued growing taller. Placing things out of reach was a common tactic used in the battle of sibling superiority.
Who was that at the end? Why was he in my video? Pingu's mom goes, "Hey, cut that out or you're gonna lose train privileges." And Pingu reluctantly gives Pinga her rabbit before immediately taking it once again when their mother is gone. On the subject, their mother leaves with a present, but for whom? And why? I knew I should have taken that Swedish elective back in high school. Back to the plot, Pingu is being smug. Pinga proves that this whole family should join a baseball team, and Pingu chases his sister into the house, where this proceeds to happen. My only question is, what was Pingu gonna do if his sister let go of the table? Thankfully, their dad, who is in this episode too, by the way, wakes up. He has the whole, side plot about sleeping, by the way, and puts a stop to these changes. Pingu gives Pinga her bunny back and says some choice words. And he storms off. I gotta ask, what does newt mean? I've mainly seen it as an insult or something, but in the last episode, Pingu used it as a warning? Oh! So I guess it means get lost? Pinga verbalizes her disdain with Pingu's actions, and this triggers the alpha male instincts pent up inside of Pingu. He rushes over, asserts his dominance with his height, and asserts his smartest guy in the room energy by blocking the door so she can't get their dad. What a Chad! Pinga, however, watches the last episode and hits the doorbell with a snowball. Is this a reused joke, or is it world building? Who can say? All joking aside, this weird piece of continuity is actually amazing and makes the world more thought out. Pingu's dad awakes from his slumber only to walk outside as the kids run off screen. He sees the rabbit in the snowman's arm and moves it. But before he goes back inside, he has a devious idea. He takes Pingu's train and puts it on the snowman's head, out of Pingu's reach. He then waits till Pingu is in tears before coming in like a hero to get the train down. Pingu then learns the valuable lesson of not abusing his power, because if he does, someone will abuse the power they have over him to teach him a lesson. And speaking of abuse of power, I think they just caught me for that preschool I robbed, and the principal is out for vengeance. I really hope he doesn't take that Numberjacks 5 plushie that I poorly edited in. I gotta go hide that. By the way, subscribe!